So, hello, Pavlo.
Hi.
Thanks so much for taking the time to meet you with us. You are now in Ukraine, is that correct?
Yes, correct. I'm in Ukraine.
Yes, and thanks for Jodie as well, who's joining us. In which city are you in Ukraine right now?
It's city Dnipro. It's central part
Dnipro.
of Ukraine. And if
Okay,
to know where it is, it's like 150 kilometers from the front line. So
okay.
we are almost the next region to the area where the active war happening. And
Wow.
yeah,
Was it sort of conquered and then recaptured, or it's always been
no.
Ukraine? Isn't it? Okay,
It's been always under Ukraine control, yes. So we
that's
never
good.
been under the occupation.
Okay, that's good. All right. So we have a couple of questions to ask you. So the first one is in the times of war, uh,
Oh,
uh, lives are
I
lost,
think his
but
network
also
is
data
like
can be
Is
destroyed. So
one sec. Is it my internet slow?
yeah, I
oh,
think he was hanging. He was hanging.
it could be mine.
Was
Yes,
it
I will
mine?
write it. I will write. I have it here. So in the
Okay.
chat. In times of war, lives are lost and data is also destroyed. So what is the data that Ukrainians have lost, and what are the consequences of this loss?
So are you talking about the data about the environment or in total, you mean?
Well, our first focus is environment, but just data in general, yes.
So it's a great question, as one of the focus of our NGO, of our Save Dnipro NGO, is part of our mission even. It's open data. And we like focus it on opening data, what generated by the government, but also we are creating our own data from sensors, from collecting something. So when the full-scale invasion in 2022 started, uh, before that, a few weeks before, Russians hacked a lot of state systems, digital systems, and a lot of data were lost for a certain period. Then I hope most of it was restored. But then, when the full-scale invasion started, uh, really like almost everything was closed. We had no access to any single data. Like all online websites and registries from the government were stopped. Most of them, some of them are still not available. Uh, and it's like you can get that information. I'm talking about the environmental information, which is protected by Ukrainian law and by Aarhus Convention, by a lot of things. It must be available, but it's still not available. We can get it by public request, but it's not works like this. We need it right here if it's already digital. So I couldn't say that something has been lost in full. Yes, it was. For example, radiation monitoring, the history of the data from Chernobyl exclusion zone. The main server was located directly in Chernobyl city, and it was stolen and looted by Russians. So we don't know, is there like the original archive of all the data? It was transferred all the time online to IAEA. I hope they have. I hope somewhere also archives available and copies, but the original, I think it was lost. A lot of even paperwork has been lost there. And I think some other examples like where like regions were temporarily occupied and then restored, like deoccupied by armed forces of Ukraine. Uh, I think some state and regional level even all authorities, if you couldn't take it and move to the controlled area, you must destroy. So it will not go to the hands of Russian occupiers. Mm, I remember that we were doing some requests and we got answers like that information was lost during the occupation, during the movement of Russians to the city. We don't know yet because some information is still protected and they are not giving us. But when the war will stop by our victory, we will see a huge, I think, loss of the data. It's really hard to analyze what's been lost because something is not even available now to be accessed. We made a huge analyze last year of environmental data, and like it's a terrible situation. Yeah.
Thank you. It's terrible to hear. I'm so sorry. The second question is, so now that you have been tested through the history, do you reckon that there's a best way to safeguard data? So if you have very critical data like this one, in your opinion, what is the way that would be the best way
Okay. Yeah, I got the question. Uh,
for the
yeah, the
long
connection.
time?
Your Cesar, your connection is really terrible. So I hope the record will be really great. Will be great. Yes. Okay. So my opinion is that the data, if some data was open once and it was available to be like viewed or downloaded or somewhere available, it must be always online and not closed. Because it's like the rule. If something was published on the internet, it will be always available in internet. It's impossible to remove it in full. So publish everything by default. It's like make data available and open for free without authentication by default. If it's not a critical infrastructure, but even if it's a critical infrastructure, but for with environmental data, just truncate something, remove critical part, but everything else publish. And once it's been published, web archive, some civil society projects, some commercial projects will download and will have copies. So somewhere it will be always available. So make it public. Of course, all data holders must have rules for the backups, not store it only here in Ukraine locally, but make copies like cold copies on cloud, like on Google. They offer a lot of free and even really cheap of like services. So yeah, like open, make backups, and publish everything for free and don't protect it. It will help. We have already a lot of experience when our tool Save Ecobot made a copy of large online registries from Ministry of Environmental Protection.
Mhm.
They've been hacked, and for a long time, for a few weeks, we were the only available source of this data. So that's Environmental Impact Assessment Registry. And the same with the radiation data when the full-scale invasion started. Our tool, our SaveAquat system was downloading and scraping and taking the data. Then official systems were down. Some of them were even hacked or completely like cleaned, wiped out. But we were available. And scientists, other governments, different like investigators, they were using our data, our system as a data source. So just publish it. Somebody will copy it and you can use it later and ask even help to restore it from this source.
Did you
Next
know?
question. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and
Oops.
the data was
Yeah.
going to go down because
I can
Some
repeat the question here, which is probably why did you copy the government data and did you anticipate it was going to go down?
okay. So before the full-scale invasion, before the full-scale invasion, we were doing copies of the data because our system, SaveRobot, has much easier and much much easier interface to access to the data. Sometimes data generated by the government is not structured properly. Something is not readable in full or not like available easily to search information. That's why we were downloading it and just storing sometimes to our server. Maybe later we will need it. Uh, but when the full-scale invasion started, okay, so that's like a key point for us when access to the data was changed in full and our like vision to the data. We like if we see some data, we must download and make a copy, even if we don't need it. I mean, about environment, because tomorrow it can be hacked and we will lose it for all the time. Or tomorrow some authority will say, oh, that's a critical data, we will close it and you will no longer have access. Come on, it was already available, so how you can close it? Russians can get it already. They already made a copy for sure, like 100%. So why we Ukrainians couldn't have? That's why right now we think that if you see the data, just download, no matter amount and how hard it is. Just make a copy. Okay. Next question. In times of war, yeah, it's very hard to trust information. How do you make data trustworthy? Ah, we get that question all the time from everybody, from authorities. For example, air quality. We have our own sensors, cheap air quality sensors for particulate matter. We have data source from other projects that are also installing them, but that's non-certified sensors. They are cheap. They are not installed the same like government is doing by official regulations. So but people trust in us because many times and almost all the time when the air is dirty and from government we don't have anything, but from civil society we have a confirmation. Okay, here's the dirty air by the sensor, and here's a picture that you can even see the pollution of the air. So with air quality we already passed the time when people are not trusting us. If we will go to the radiation monitoring, um, we are more careful with the data as we understand that the price of the mistake with the radiation is much larger and with besides the air quality. Air quality changes frequently and it's like, okay, it's dirty, nobody cares at all, yes. But with radiation, if it's a large spike and we will notify somebody that it's spike, everybody will crazy. And if it's just a mistake, nobody will trust us tomorrow. That's why we try to, first of all, for some data sources, we have like automatic check. If it goes above the like critical level, we just immediately been notified internally in us and we checking what's going on there. And we try to communicate with the data source, what's going on there, where is the sensor installed and etc. But also our sensors, we like Safecast Red Note, we stepped on a path that we have to verify or even calibrate them. So with the help of BFS, that's a Federal Office of Radiation Protection of Germany, that's our friends and partners already like for a few years. I gave them few sensors and they tested them in their official laboratory. So they took a emission source and made the tests and gave us the results. The quality of the data is 98%. So that's amazing results. That means that we have the perfect results that can be trusted. And we see also even besides radiation data, we also track from Open Weather Map meteorological conditions in every location of the sensor. And we have a chart where you can see gamma radiation, then snow level, rain level, humidity, and temperature. And in many cases, we see the changes even in our chip sensors, that when the snow fall down and we see it's like the ground protected and emissions are much lower. So I'm reading different scientific papers and see what can influence on normal background radiation or in polluted areas like Chernobyl exclusion zone. And we try to give people instruments, free instruments to see. So they see that and then, okay. And when we like partnering with even authorities, and if authorities have links and use us, then people, oh, okay, we can trust them. Yeah. I see your other question. Why do people trust your organization? It's always a question for all time, like for a lifetime of every, I think, environmental protection organization. So we became as an organization in 2018. So it's almost 7 years ago. We started from just like a team by protecting our rights in Dnipro for clean and safe air from large coal-based thermal power plant. And we were just fighting. Now the physical fighting are on the front lines. But during the 7 years ago, we were calling it fighting, advocacy campaign. So the modernization of the factory. And we gone clearly, transparently. We were publishing all the reports of if we were doing a crowdfund campaign. We were writing all our meetings, all our everything what we were doing on the Facebook. So when you're showing what are you doing, you are reporting. People just okay. And if you would like to join, just join and help us. We are completely open. And that helped us to be independent. Until now, it's like we have a trust. Plus, of course, with years of our organization, we started searching for the funding, as it's impossible to make it and to protect environment or even build a tool, a system like SafeEcoBot without funding. Because by the end of the day, you need money for food, for kids, for everything. And yeah, we started applying for the funding from different funds like international and contests. We won once, second time, and then many times. So we are funded completely from different funds. Sometimes we have donations, but that's just a small minor like amount in the financing of our organization. Plus, of course, we have large partners and donors like Safecast and Blues from the US in the equipment. And from Romania, we have URED Monitor. So they also donate us equipment. But that happened only in the last 3 years of the full-scale war. Data is power. The next question, the fourth. Data is power. Powerful people may not want to share data with the public. Who and how do people use your data? So part of our mission, everything must be open. Everything must be for free. And all environmental data must be free in the original format. If it's a product from that, of course, probably you can take money from that. But if it's original rough data, publish it as is. Don't spend a lot of money and time for changing format. How you get it, publish. So if it's machine readable, don't worry, somebody will do that. And we are always saying that for all authorities. Even if you need help, we can help you. It's true that many people and authorities don't want to publish data. We have even experience in Ukraine when one of NGO that's always also doing air quality monitoring with their sensors. At the beginning, they were providing free access to their data from their sensors through the API, even without keys in JSON format. But then, few years later, they said, okay, we are closing the access to everybody. As we were all, our tool, Save EcoBot, and our Save Dnipro, we were the major data, who was using data from them. And our tool more popular, and they were saying like, you are using our data, but you are not investing and you don't investing on supporting it. But you have more popularity on our data. So we are just closing access to you. Come on, that's environmental data. One of the major part of every environmental NGO, open everything. Of course, it's hard to support, but okay, but publish it. Don't say like it's hard. That's an example how even NGOs can close. Authorities hiding, some authorities hiding the data because they say, oh, why you need that? Why do you need it? It's nobody asking it. We always saying them, come on, even if we are the single person who would like to get it, it's not your data. You collected it from the equipment or from other organizations. You're just the intermediate. You because government, it's a service. It's helping people to live in the country. And government, we are also country. So that's why it's not your data. You're administrator. So just publish it. We will find how to use it. We will make instruments. Example is last year, we finally reached the great success with Ukrainian Hydrometeorological Center. That's the most oldest authority who is doing air quality monitoring. It's not online. It's with the physical equipment, few times per day in many locations in large city. They're doing measurements by different pollutants, and then they have results. But the data is not available. The rough original data is not available in any machine readable format. We can only get every half of the year the report from them with the list of cities, the most dirty city, the most cleanest. That's all. And we started advocacy campaign against them. Like, come on, please share the original data. People would like to know it. Okay, if you couldn't publish it today for today, publish it by the end of the week, but publish everything. We will do a service. Just do that. We will help you. It will be more trust to you that you are publishing it. And finally, together with Ministry of Digital Transformation, Ministry of Environmental Protection, and with support of other organizations, we reached the time when Ukrainian Hydrometeorological Center started publishing it even in open data format. And now it's available. And we use it we're building charts. You can see a chart with the daily value by each pollutant separately. It's like sulfur dioxide, particulate matter, and many, many, many other things. And people can see not only results every year, like by year, who is the dirty. They can see the dynamic. That's the power of the data. That's power. Publish it, and somebody will find how to use it and show. Yeah. What's your environmental data dream during the war and after the war? During the war, okay, so we have like strategic plan, and we have the current plan. So the current plan. I would like to bring all the red note sensor from the US to Ukraine. as we have that's the most hardest thing to bring to do the logistic, officially deliver 90 sensors to Ukraine, as it will generate a huge amount of data once we will deploy around whole Ukraine all the sensors. That's about, for example, radiation for right now. With air quality, I would like everybody who is generating data, it will be available for open in the original format in the RAF, as there is no any single reason to close it. It's like, come on, forget that it's your data and you don't want to share. Open it, because we are following rules that we are showing everywhere the data source. Your name will be everywhere. Everybody will know that it's your data. It's typical, it's normal. What else? I don't want that some authorities in Ukraine will provide access to the data after authentication. As we have it's a lot of authorities saying that, oh, that data has a little bit of critical data about critical infrastructure. So that's why, as we don't have instruments and finances to separate it from the whole data, but we are not allowed to publish it, we will close everything, but you can get access with authentication. Come on, don't do that. If authentication is just, it's like I can take person without home at the street, I can take his documents, I will pay him some amount of money, and will use him as authentication. That's all. I will get it. All our enemies, they have internal network of people who already working for their needs. They can steal the data. They will hack your system. Okay, the next day they will how to do that. But why the wall has to be for us? So that's a huge problem. After the war, I don't know. It's really hard as after the war, we will have to check what we lost with environment. We have to know, we will have to measure every centimeter, every inch of our land. We have to measure the damage. We have to track much more, and we have to grow. Or enterprises, they they have to start providing access to the data from their systems, as it's available in the EU. If it's a sensor on emission source, the data is available for the ministry, for the authority, for the regulator. Right now, it's not available even here for anybody, only for enterprise. We would like to know if there is an large emission from the chimney. I would like to be notified it right here, right now, so I have to close windows and protect myself, my kids. So that has to be, I think, even if it's not possible now because of the critical infrastructure, okay, the war finish it, next day open it. And many things like this, but it's really hard to say what I would like to see after the war. First, we have to survive, we have to support our armed forces, and we have to win the war. And after that, clean up all the temporarily occupied territories, and we will see. Yeah. Next question. What do you think is the most important thing the world needs to know or remember about environmental data now to move forward? I think the most powerful is the large archives of the data and availability of them, and analyzing of them, and examples with the energy system of Ukraine. Before the full-scale invasion, one of the data we've been using, it was data about electricity generation by Ukrainian integrated energy system. It was open and it was available every minute how much energy being generated by largest energy blocks. Every nuclear power plant energy block, every thermal power plant energy block. It was available in a large table. It's updated every minute, but you can see amount of megawatts per hour being generated, and also the status of every block. Like, is it emergency? Is it working? Is it paused? Is it sleeping? And we were collecting all the data for 10 years deepest in the history. And by building charts with different things, you can see changes or even violation of laws. For example, thermal power plant in Dnipro, before the full-scale invasion, they had a limitation. They couldn't generate more than, as I remember, 450 megawatts per hour. Otherwise, they will have some punishments or fines because it's giving a lot of emissions into the air. We were collecting data from energy system, building how much energy plant generating in total. And on the chart, we saw different times, few minutes per hour when they were violating. And that was a confirmation of violation. So we were using that. So if all the data from the past will be published and always available, that will help people to analyze how the system was working, how it was like violating. Of course, you couldn't like push on them during the wartime if they violating something. Okay, we need electricity and we don't have to do that. But we would like to know, we would like to analyze, because there is no future without history. Like, history is spinning and rotating. So that's why as more data from the past we will have, as better future we can do. So just open everything, even if it was closed because of some security. Once security issue is lowered, open, and we can move forward here. And don't delete anything, as we saw sometimes answers that we're just storing archives for 6 months. That's all. How? Don't do that. Don't delete anything. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pablo.
Thank you.
I think he feels traumatized from having to record anything.
I'm really sorry, I'm really sorry my sound was so bad, but that was amazing. We learned a lot because we want to make data more resilient, and you are in a very special position that you can learn things because of the situation you are in that nobody else can experience.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and your experience. This is very precious, and so we are eager to share it with the other people in the community, and hopefully I definitely learned a lot, and we'll definitely try to apply some of the principles that you mentioned.
Yep, you're
I think
welcome.
more importantly to publish everything and not delete anything.
Yeah. It's like we have other different examples of how to preserve, like, be sure that the data are not lost, or like confirmations. Like, it's like one example and we can go. I mean, not taking your time. For example, sometimes authorities publishing data on the website, but in few hours they understand that they publish it something what doesn't have to be published, or they made a mistake and they just clean it up, like no confirmation. But we already passed that time, and we, from some sources, we are even saving screenshots. If we see some non-typical data, we have some data checks when it's been published and processed, and if system sees that it's not typical data, we create screenshot, we save HTML page the original, so we have a confirmation that it was not just our created data. So that's also, but it requires resources and it requires time and development. But once shit happens, we will have confirmation. Yeah.
Thank you so much. This is super
You're
inspiring.
welcome.
And so we will have the hackathon, and then we will share also the findings. And I'm sure people will be inspired by what you shared. So we're trying to build with your principle.
Okay, you can, if you need, you can invite me even to talk or like participate, like mentor
Yes.
if you need.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Great.
Just-
So there will be two touch points during the hackathon. We have the beginning where we give the brief, or we will show this video or an edited version of this video. And then we have the two touch points, which we call check-in. And then the last one is the judge. Um, some of them, they are fine in the middle of the night, so it's not very convenient for you. But we will share those times with you. But
listen,
we are
it's
so
like
very...
I can wake up. It's like it's not even a problem, as we already like sometimes waking up because of the missiles at night or drones that are exploding. So yeah.
It's a nicer reason. It's a nicer reason to wake up.
Yeah.
Than to wake up because of. Yes, we'll definitely send those to you. I think in the next maybe 24 hours we'll send you those checkpoints. And
Great.
the most important would be the judging at the end. So that would be in the middle of the night of your Sunday.
I can wake up, okay? Just
Okay.
tell me the time
We will.
and I will do my best. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really
But I
appreciate
think
it.
it will be much better to listen and follow up, I think, for judging.
Yes, exactly.
So just send me the timeline when I has
Yes.
to, when it will be, and it's yeah, I can try. I
We'll do
will
that.
give you the best. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We treasure your time as well. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for inviting, and thank you for doing great. And I'm also even thinking now on talking to my team about that subject, like data saving and how to save the data, and not even if our system will be hacked, we can lose everything,
Yes.
and the price will be tremendous. Yeah.
Right now, what we have in mind is to decentralize the data, and making sure that we don't have to have huge bills for servers, is to use torrents, so the torrent infrastructure. Then we want to certify the information, hashing the data, so use some blockchain technology for messaging and validating the data. And then what we are also thinking about is to make it sustainable, because we cannot always depend on donation, is to have a business model where each device becomes a blockchain wallet. So every time somebody produces data, they get a micro payment. So when they reach a certain threshold, they can get a payment for the sensor that they invest in building or deploying. So these are the three, I would say, change in infrastructure that we're looking at to make the data very robust, always available, and also like sustainable financially. So that's what we're looking at right now. And for sure, like your knowledge and experience of your team would be super valuable.
Yeah, but it's also great for us to talk to specialists, as in our team, I'm the single person who is specialist in technologies, and it's always hard to like we need like the data storage with large databases, how to make it, and it's always requires and knowledges and time and servers. Yeah. So plus next hour we have like missile attack. What's data storage environment? Okay, I have to go to the shelter.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Or blackout, like blackout and no energy.
I have this sentence in my mind. I think that comes in my mind is when there's World War III, nobody will care about the environment or environmental data.
That's not true. That's not true.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Okay.
Because the simple answer is Ukraine. When the World III will start, I hope it will not start,
Yes.
but nothing will change in Ukraine, as we already in a full-scale war, and we already adapted to it. We even care about air quality, about radiation, and we monitor it. So trust me, the data will be always. If it will not be the fallout, the full Earth fallout, when nothing will work, all processes will work. Trust me. It's already 3 years. We already like I'm working on irradiation every single day, and communicating with large amount specialists, and the data available. data required, data collected, data stored, and it's still actual. So no, it's environmental data will be always on agenda. It's hard, less specialists, but still, I don't believe that it will not be on a desk. No.
You give me so much hope, you see. Thank you for doing the
Yes.
work that you do, because even if I'm not in as hardship situation as you, I don't have as much hope as you. So thank you. Thank you for that.
We
It's a
already passed
humility
that.
lesson.
Yeah, we already passed that time when we also thought that nobody will need environmental data. But from first day of the full-scale war, I was doing it. And that was my best decision that I was continuing it. And now we see a tremendous result. So, yeah.
Keep going. Keep
Yeah,
going.
thank you. And support Ukraine. Thank you for inviting.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.